Okay, good afternoon. I'll get you updated on the injury report to start us off here, and then I'll turn it over to you for questions. So TB, Terrell Bernard, Daquan Jones, Jordan Poyer, all those guys are improving. We'll see how they do this week. Matt Prater, suffered a little bit of an injury yesterday, as you guys saw it unfold during the game. He's more day-to-day, which is a good sign. But we're still going to more than likely bring some kickers in tomorrow for a workout, kind of work with two plans, one where he's able to go come Sunday and one where he's perhaps not able to go. Max Hairston, unlikely to play this week. We'll see where that goes as we move forward. Ty Johnson, day-to-day. And at this point, no one coming off of IR. Going like T-Bass is not able to come off of IR due to the surgery that he had from a timetable standpoint at this point. So that's the update there.
Is he maybe, so we don't keep asking, because I think there's an assumption, at least I assume, that he's done. Is there a chance he could come back in the playoffs, or is that?
Not that I'm aware of. It's my understanding he's done due to the surgery that was performed some time ago. Yeah, I mean, just going back on that, you want to be able to protect everyone in a game like yesterday. Unfortunately, you're not able to, right? And with our situation and the way it was, we have normally four corners on the roster. About a month and a half ago, went down to three. So looking at the practice squad, because of the ups we needed to have, we went to the linebacker position first, losing TB in the Eagles game, and so with that we felt like we needed an extra linebacker to go into the game, and then with the defensive ends, getting Joey some rest, getting Greg some rest, both, and then we got Judana so that we had three. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get Dane up. Dane was out of ups anyway at that point, so we would have to cut somebody to bring up another corner. So unfortunately, we're a little landlocked there. Would have loved to have been able to rotate somebody, but that's where we're at right now. So.
Sean, in hindsight, regarding Max, would you have considered? I know it would be not traditional, but maybe playing someone who doesn't usually play corner in that spot at that point in the game, or is that not a consideration?
No, it was. Yeah, it was. We were going through we were losing players on the defensive side as it was, and so we had already gone from, I think, nickel down to three linebacker defense. So, there was only so many guys we could use at that point. You go to wide receiver, put him in over there. We've done that before. Again, try and protect everybody. It's a tough deal there.
Early and you learn throughout the week, but your first impression here of Jacksonville and what you studied last night and today, I feel as you roll it down.
Yeah, good football team, talented football team. They're playing well, playing at a high level in all three phases, and the team that we played last season, but the team overall has changed. The complexion of the team, some of their roster has changed as well. I thought one of the moves that's made a difference for them offensively is adding Jacoby Myers, good pickup for him. Probably a guy that's quite honestly been undervalued in his career, but going against him in New England, a ton of respect for his game, both in the run game and what he does there, and also in the pass game. They take the ball away defensively to do a great job with their special teams and creating field position or scoring points. So it's a heck of a football team.
You talked about needing to continue to improve throughout the season. Where do you feel about where your defense is at heading into this week, just over the last several weeks and progression that you've seen?
Yeah, I think the defensive staff and the players have done a really good job of honing in on the boulders, if you will, and things that you have to do to give yourself a chance to play good football. And that's really where we're at. You know, we've had, you know, some of the different lineups and whatnot, and trying to teach and reteach, and some of the new guys teach them, and then the guys who've been here before or with us a little bit more during the season, reteach them what the standard is and the things, you know, you have to do, as I said, to play good defense. So, you know, it's good to see that and the improvement that we've made over the course of the season, led by the defensive staff.
Sean, how much do you feel like playoff experience really matters in a situation like this?
I wouldn't say it doesn't matter, but it is, you know, you got to play and you got to perform, and it's, hey, what it is on paper versus, you know, who plays at the level we need to play at to win. So that's the utmost deciding factor, but there is an element of, I would say, experience, right, as you go through it from the top down.
It's kind of a similar question, Sean. The last couple of trips to Jacksonville have not produced desired results, but you're going back to 2018 for one of those in 2021. So the number of guys on the team who were maybe even involved in those games is very small. Do you put anything into, you know, a lack of success against this team in that location, or because the roster's changed over so much it doesn't matter all that much?
I mean, you always try and learn from those situations, specifically, you know, based on a team or a situation overall. At the end of the day, it's a new game. It's a different team this year, and you know, we've got to play and perform up to a certain level, or we won't have a chance to win. But that's the key to our process this week.
What are the inherent challenges that come with winning, especially playoff games on the road? Not a lot of teams have had success, not a lot of teams have won pretty straight, you know, but you haven't won one yet. And what are the inherent challenges that come with it?
Well, playing on the road anytime is tough, in particular on the playoffs against a good football team. Usually you're playing a good football team, and we're playing a heck of a football team this week. And so, you know, we know that. We've got to be dialed in on the challenge that's in front of us and be ready for the challenge. And you got to start by, hey, coming in and playing with great fundamentals, not beating yourselves, taking care of the ball, those things that are important to us as a football team, and the discipline that goes with that.
The past 5 years of winning the division, and this year, you know, for a couple years you're going to start on the road. How did those kind of preparations begin, or if there's anything, even if you don't know who the opponent is, are there things that you can do to prepare when you know you got to hit the road?
I mean, you do the best you can to make sure that our road experience, you know, the operation of our road experience is solid, right? So we give the players a chance to get themselves as fresh as possible when we go on the road, when we make the trip down there, in this case to Jacksonville. And you know, I know B-Row, our ops director, does a great job with making sure the guys are in a good spot, and you know, with the right nutrition, all those types of things. Those are all the things that are in the margins, right, of getting these guys ready to play and play at a high level.
You won 3 straight on the road. Are you cognizant of that, or and taking things from that? Like you say, because you look at every detail, but the
Yeah.
fact that you have gotten it right 3 times in a row, what does that say?
Well, that's an important piece. You know, I would love to say that it carries forward. I'm not sure if it does exactly, directly in this case, but it's good to know, and but it won't directly impact this game necessarily.
You guys have been amongst the top in the league in the turnover differential at different times over the last couple of years. This Jacksonville team this season, one of the tops in the league. How challenging is it not only to go on the road, but to go against a team that takes care of it and also forces takeaways?
Yeah, it's sound. You know, very sound in what they do, and makes for a big challenge for any team. You know, that's one of the big boulders of playing good football is taking care of the ball and taking the ball away. So they've done a great job with that this year.
It was in limbo when we talked to you last night after the game, but James winning the rushing title, just how exciting is that for the group, for the offensive line, the tight ends, everybody?
Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. You know, a lifetime accomplishment, great honor. Offensive staff, James, the entire offense, led by the offensive line, of course, but that, as I've said before, includes the tight ends, the wide receivers, the other backs that are involved, Josh, Mitch last night. So great to see, great accomplishment. It's been a while since that's happened here, and you know, I was watching the game last night, and you know, I'm praying that we made the right decision. And I'll tell you what, it's not easy. You know, you expose him too long and he gets hurt, and you're not loving it. So you try to do your best to keep him healthy, but also get him to a spot where he can, kind of reap the fruits of his labor. And so that was good to see.
How nervous were you in the first half of that game?
112, yeah, he had 112 in the first half. I'm not loving that. So yeah, I knew the number, and I was stayed up to, do everything I could to make sure it was going to go the way it was going to go. Not that I had any control at that point, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's no different. You want to protect everybody. It's hard. It's a hard deal. Do the best you can.
Turns out he didn't need the 15.
What's that?
Turns out he didn't even need the 15.
Yeah. That 15 made me feel a little bit better. I was thinking maybe we should have done 25. I don't know. But 15 ended up being the right. And the good part is he hopefully was able to get a little fresher from it. So it's, yeah.
You're watching that game, and it was a crazy game with everything on the line. And I know that your relationship with Mike, and I'm sure with John too.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind as a coach watching that go down for two organizations? Because I'm sure you could put yourself in those shoes pretty easily.
Yeah, I think any coach really could. That's sat in the seat. So playoff level football, and the game reminds us quite a bit of how you win games. So we can stand to learn from that.
Can you give an example?
Just say overall, you look at the second half, right? The second half of the way the game was played, and some things working out, some things not working out. And it's not, I can promise it's not because they're not well coached, or it's not because they're not trying. So you look at it and say, hey, there's some things. I don't want to go into strategy right now, Tim, with all due respect. But those are things we can use as teaching mechanisms for our team.
At any point when you found out it was going to be officially Jacksonville, did your mind race back to 2017 and reflect on how many things have changed and then how far this team has come?
And how young I was back in 2017. I mean, the feeling was different then, right? The feeling was, first playoff appearance. I remember landing down there and seeing, a Bills fan at the airport, like somehow got back into, like Bills fans do. They find their way to areas where you're probably not even supposed to be in terms of airport security back then. But and then just driving to the stadium the morning of the game, and I think I remember Kyle, because Kyle hadn't been to the playoffs. I think his family or his wife was being documented, and the trip and all that type of stuff. So it was, just a different type of trip, but I guess to each their own, right? In this case, so this is X amount of years later. I think I said to somebody the other day, you make it in 17, and you're like, the first time in 17 years, and you're like, okay, don't know what the future brings, what the future holds, and then you say, hey, it's been, 7 years in a row now. Is that what it's been in the playoffs? And 5 AFC East championships, regular season titles. You'd sign up for it back then, because you never know if you ever get back again, because you name it, there's tons of coaches, tons of players who have never even experienced the playoffs at all and had long careers. But so you don't take it for granted, but you understand the opportunity that's in front of us. I think that's the key part of this week for us here.
Playoff games. You're almost a full season of just playoff games as a head coach, and you had a lot of playoff games before that, obviously, experience. But has it changed at all for you in terms of, I say confidence level, but like being sure of yourself because you've been in these spots so many times as a coach?
Yeah, I think that's it's a great question. I think that's the point of experience, right? Excuse me. And you don't take them for granted. Let's just start there. But at the same time, the experience is, I've been here, we've been here, and so that comes with, I guess it brings some level of, call it seasoning, and you would hope, poise and composure as we prepare this week and go through our process. Like anything else, you learn from experience, and you hope you get smarter and gain more wisdom because of it if you're aware of things and where you want to go and the vision you have for yourself and your team.
Sean, you mentioned in the previous answer, you said that the feeling is different from 17 to now.
Yeah.
What is the feeling today when you know, on the eve of starting this?
Yeah. Really, this is going to sound like coach speak. It's not. It's process. You won't get the result you want if you don't hone in on what's right in front of you. When I'm done with this here is going back to work and trying to figure out what we need to get figured out and how we can improve our team and the different things that lead to winning every week. So, you know, I would say probably back then it was, you know, a little bit of a noise of, hey, people are going down to Jacksonville and this and that, and I'm sure that'll happen, but we are totally focused on what we've got to get done and the process that it's going to take to get it done. And this is a really good football team we're playing, and the challenge is big.
I have kids, but we were back in 2017 with you bringing up the work process because that's what you were preaching then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still believe in it. Yeah, I still believe in it.
But this might be like a little bit like Matt's question. Hopefully it doesn't seem redundant. I don't mean it as such, but when you, because we were kind of thinking about Jacksonville, just curiosity. Do you think of things that you knew to be correct and true when you first became a head coach that you look back now and are like, I don't do that anymore, or that's just not the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can, well, I don't want to say you guys can relate, but, you know, when you, just like I've said before, year 9 now, and you look back at some of the things I was thinking, to your point, Tim, of in year 1 and going, man, you know, was I wrong? You know, and I think that's the humbling part of any experience, humbling part of this job, and yet a responsibility every year to improve as a leader, as a coach, as a person. Those are things that I take very seriously, and if I'm not asking myself to improve, I can't ask those around me to improve. So that's important for me, and yeah, that's a big part of the process, really. It is. So it's something I take very seriously.
When you were watching the Jaguars offense with this play caller preparing for this game, what impressed you?
You know, they do a great job of keeping you off balance. They do a great job. I mean, like I said before, they got weapons in the backfield. They got weapons on the perimeter of their offense. Do a great job with the quarterback and moving the pocket. They run quite a bit of no huddle. Reminds me of early on when Goff was with Sean McVay. That's, you know, kind of where Coach comes from, and so there's a little bit of communication going on between the quarterback and the coach during the no huddle stuff. That reminds me of LA and Sean McVay. So, yeah.
Max considered more day-to-day, or I know it's unlikely to play, it's kind of maybe that
Yeah.
area.
Don't know yet. Probably more week to week if I had to guess right now, but we'll see where it goes.
Thanks.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Coach.